Good evening and welcome to Meet the President. We thank you very much for joining us on this episode. Remember, on Twitter, we're asking you whether you would vote for Cyrus Jirongo. Tonight is the question we're asking you on Twitter at KTN News, at Yvonne Okwara. The hashtag is Meet the President. Please do let us know your thoughts. Welcome to the program. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. We'll be speaking to the candidate in just a moment. It is definitely somebody who's been around the political scene for quite a while, since he was a young fellow. But let's take you down memory lane and remind you who Cyrus Jirongo is.
Cyrus Jirongo was born on March 21st, 1961. Jirongo is an alumni of the prestigious Mangu High School. In 1991, he served as the chairman of AFC Leopards. He led the Youth for KANU in 1992, a movement that supported President Daniel Arap Moi in the then general election. This marked his entry into the political arena. He won the 1997 elections, clinching the Lugari constituency parliamentary seat. He later fell out with KANU as he was associated with the then unregistered United Democratic Movement Party. In the 2002 general election, Jirongo ran on a KANU ticket but lost to Enoch Kibunguchi, who ran on a NARC ticket. Jirongo made a return into the political scene in 2007 when he formed the KADU party, reclaiming the Lugari seat in the general election then. In 2013, Jirongo declared an interest to run for president, but eventually opted to run for the Kakamega senatorial seat and supported Raila Odinga's bid for the presidency. Jirongo lost the Senate bid to the eminent bullfighter Boni Khalwale. Fast forward to 2017. United Democratic Party UDP leader Cyrus Jirongo now wants to be your president.
Indeed, he does, and he joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us on Meet the President, Cyrus Jirongo. A name that I'm sure many people are hearing probably for the first time. Thanks for joining us. Shakalaka Jirongo.
It must come out of your chest.
Noted. Okay. So let's talk a bit about that, because from that story we've just watched, you've declared your intention to run not once, but now you are in it to win it, I'm sure. So tell us, why now? Why you? Why Kenya? Why president?
Basically, why now? The country is in a crisis for leadership. The next?
Why you?
Because I have the competences to be a president of the Republic of Kenya.
Competences to be president, that's a big job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The right competence.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
All right, and we'll talk about those competences in a moment. Let's talk about when you made your intention to vie, public. And it was after a falling out with Raila, because we understand there were talks you had been having with Raila. Then it was CORD and even NASA as Musalia Mudavadi came into the fold. And then those talks broke down, and then we heard you now say, okay, you know what, you're going to go it alone, run for the president. Is this as a result of that fallout? Is this getting back at NASA? Is this getting back at Musalia Mudavadi, or trying to be the kingpin of Luya politics?
None of that.
What's driving your run?
I think I did politics quite some time. I've done politics for quite some time. And I tend to understand the dynamics that can create victory. And some of those dynamics, I've discussed them. We are great friends with Raila. As I'm talking today, we are still very good friends. And we talk. Unlike my Jubilee friends, the last time I talked to Uhuru is when we met at Soita Chitanda's funeral. And we haven't talked from the time he became president. It is during Soita's funeral that we ever met. The last time was ever at State House. That is during the Chungwa and the banana debate, courtesy Dr. Mwai Kibaki, when they really wanted us to help Kibaki, but I declined. But anybody saying that I'm getting back at Raila or I'm looking to be a kingpin of Luya land, might not really appreciate what it takes to unseat a sitting president. It takes a lot of strategy. It is not just a mere win. I might take you through history a bit. In 1992, we were declared winners, and every Kenyan believed the opposition was winning. In 1997, we had a lot of interesting times where some people had more than 100% voter turnout. And therefore, it takes slightly much more than just winning to remove a sitting president from power. And one of my disagreements with my friends in NASA has nothing to do with personality. It's got all to do with the right strategy to win. I'm one of those that believe another 5 years of impunity, another 5 years of chest thumping.
I believe that all the other candidates, all the other
it will be very difficult for us.
6 would be not rightly placed to unseat President Uhuru Kenyatta?
All of us are in this race to win. Nobody goes to a race to lose. But sometimes, if you take it from the Kenyan athletics team, sometimes you help each other to win as a country. I'm part of those who believe that an opposition win is my win. I'm going to this election to win. But if an opposition candidate, be it Ekuru Aukot, Dida, Nyaga, Raila Odinga, I'll be quite satisfied.
So why not just work with any of those candidates that you've just mentioned?
I mentioned earlier that clarity in why you want to be a leader is essential. And this puts me slightly different with most of my competitors.
They don't have the clarity?
I don't find it quite coming out. And we've suffered from this for a very long time, where leadership is not clear why it is looking for that leadership position. We've had leaders looking for leadership position for different reasons.
And what's your reason, besides just unsitting President Uhuru Kenyatta? You've talked about a crisis of leadership.
There's a crisis of leadership.
How would you describe the state of the nation then over the last 4.5 years?
Okay, you asked so many questions. Let me answer the ones I can remember. Every human being wants to actualize himself. And the way you actualize yourself is different. For me, self-actualization is honor. The way I look at a human being, there is nothing really you can pay to get Cardinal Tunga's name, to get Mandela's name, to get Mahatma Gandhi's name. That is honor. And that is my self-actualization. And that's what I look for. There are various people who go into leadership, and I don't think they are clear on exactly what they want to look for. And that's where the difference comes in.
Okay. Let's have your assessment of the state of the nation over the last 4.5 years. What's been your assessment of the leadership we have had? Where do you think have been the gaps? Do you think there have been any successes? What is it that you would look to change or better in the lives of Kenyans?
One is that I do believe both Uhuru and his deputy, they are competent. But the actual objective of getting into leadership might not be aligned with the leadership as such. Because we've witnessed 4 years of a very difficult time for the Republic of Kenya. From the Westgate time, we've had Al-Shabaab, and the leadership is in Dubai watching Grand Prix. We've had Kenyans complaining as a nation, and the leadership is chest thumping. We will continue eating meat as you watch. These are some of the sad moments when you really sit back and wonder what were the objectives of the Jubilee team looking for leadership in this country. what is their self-actualization? Is it aligned with the aspirations of the Kenyan people? And when you ask those questions and look at the team that is seeking to unseat that leadership, you find sometimes you don't see clarity of objective, that this is what I want to achieve. We have a bit of too much history, we have a bit of populism, but I do believe leadership, sometimes you must have to make very hard decisions. When you go into leadership because you want to be popular and you don't want honor, you also lose the objective and you might not be able to actually deliver.
Can we talk about corruption? I know you've mentioned terrorism, and Kenyans have certainly had their fair share of terror attacks over the last couple of years, but there have also been some huge scandals over the last 4.5 years. Corruption has heavily featured in the public discourse, and we've seen very many of those. What would be your approach towards ending this, or at least taming or fighting corruption effectively?
First of all, corruption requires total commitment. We've had cases where if you meant business, you'll be forced to draw first blood if you're genuinely a leader. And I say so, look at Kagame when he decided he has to fight corruption in Rwanda. He jailed his own brother. But we have leadership that is lackluster, that puts friendship before the interest of Kenyans. We have leadership that might not be very clear on what they want to be remembered for. If you look at President Magufuli, he's doing a very good job, but it can easily go to waste. You can effectively fight corruption the Magufuli style, but coupled with institutions that are independent, that when you leave, your work will continue. Look at the so-called independent institutions in this country. Are they really independent? That's where we begin from. Look at the quality of personnel that mans those institutions. And you start wondering, did we go into leadership to award ability, or did we go into leadership to award communities and friendship? And I think that is where our problem begins. Secondly, changing a culture takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment. And you must be willing to take sabotage, because those even involved in corruption, they have serious networks within the system.
Yeah.
So to create a cultural change, you must carry people with you. And this, the late Julius Nyerere did it very well. Whenever he faced a situation, because he worked for the people of Tanzania, he invoked the people. And you had no choice but to toe the line. And therefore, we need to institutionalize the fight against corruption.
And how do we do that, Cyrus?
Building a working institution, you need to look at the critical factors that will make that institution function. Literally having a checklist of what must be done for things to be done correctly. Okay,
and what are those things that must be done for things to be done correctly? We're looking for some specifics from you, sir.
If you're looking for specifics, you are looking for a man of integrity, number one, and no single person can fight for corruption. You are looking for properly trained system. If it is the anti-corruption system that you're talking about, they must be properly trained. Other than being properly trained, the reward system must be correct. Somebody must feel his sweat is what he takes at home. But if you have extremely capable people and you get mediocrity at their top, based on other factors other than their ability to deliver, you definitely will not expect that institution to function. And thirdly, we have a constitution that lays down the framework, but you need to give it meat. The kind of laws, legislation that is taking place in Parliament currently does not give meat to the institutions that we need to build.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've talked about a man of integrity, and you've talked about honor. These are some of the words that I'm hearing you laying a lot of emphasis on. And for sure, the war on corruption would need a champion. That would be the president, who would be sort of the symbol and the fight against
Very
this.
important.
But you know this question has to come up, Mr. Jirongo, because many Kenyans first encountered you with the YK92.
Yes.
And the infamy of that whole project, and you being the chair of that. And some say, perhaps you don't have the moral authority to be able to speak on corruption, considering the infamy of YK92 and the number of issues that have come out of that, including corruption, giving out money, causing inflation. I mean, you had the 500 shilling note that was named after you. With all of these ghosts in your past, whether convicted or not, do you believe that you are the person that serves as the poster child for the war against corruption in this country?
You see, I believe the media in this country are some of the most intelligent people. Stereotyping without really looking at what you need to look at critically might be part of what has contributed onto poor leadership in this country. I don't want to accuse the media, but I want to say, I fought with President Moi's regime throughout. I disagreed with one of the best regimes this country has ever had, Kibaki's regime, right? I have disagreed totally with Uhuru's regime. Jirongo is not that special that if he committed a crime, that all these people could not have been able to confront him and take him to court. That's the first thing we need to look at. Secondly, when you talk about notes and names, we must be able to differentiate serious issues and the nicknames given to items. We've had very many karoos and many other currencies or denominations given names. Why is the 500 shilling not so special? The infamy depends on what side you are. As far as the Kanu regime was concerned, the fact that we stood up and put up a serious network of young people and supported them to win the election, we were champions. But as far as the opposition of that time was concerned, you could label us anything.
So you were proud of your time at YK92?
Definitely, I did a perfect job.
And are confident of everything that has been said about you in the past, because perception is important as well.
That's what I'm saying, stereotyping, and I talked about the media. You need to take time and find out exactly who is who. Look at Churchill. He had been stereotyped the way some of us are trying to be stereotyped, but he stood up to be the greatest leader Britain ever had. You really need to delve into Jirongo and find out who Jirongo is before you start making up your mind.
Who is Jirongo?
Now, the really Jirongo is the one who is speaking, the man who knows what leadership and what self-actualization is looking for. That is the really Jirongo.
Let's then shift and talk about the state of cohesion in the country. Where do you think we are? I mean, some people say we're more divided now than we were in 2013 or in 2007. I mean, I think 2007 really showed us, where the fissures were in the country. But what's your assessment of the state of cohesion in the country right now? Ethnicity and whether we are one and speak as one, even in terms of the way you're mobilizing some of the people that you want to vote for you. Do you believe we speak as Kenyans, or do we see ethnicity first?
Kenyans, in my view, speak as Kenyans. The leadership look at using ethnicity as an advantage to try and get support. But the pain a Luo goes through, a Luhya goes through, a Kikuyu goes through, a Kalenjin goes through, is the same. And unfortunately, we are not very careful with our words. And when people are in politics, sometimes you say things without phrasing them correctly. And somebody takes advantage of that to go and whip tribal emotions. The state of cohesion in the country, I think we are all together that this country is headed towards the Mugabe regime, if you are not careful. That, I believe, a huge number or a majority of Kenyans believe that. But when it comes to voting, certain fears are put into the voter, fears that actually don't exist. Because really, you can't convince me an ordinary Kikuyu lives better than an ordinary Luo.
So what would be your role, the president being the symbol of national unity? What do you think is the one thing that a Cyrus Jirongo presidency would do that would be different markedly from what we have seen in the past?
Basically, you need to start by actions speak louder than words. I think it's section 132 of the Constitution, which section 2, which talks about looking at the communities in the country and making sure that there's regional balance, everybody participates.
Can we achieve regional balance, though? We have, 44 tribes. How do we achieve regional balance in a way that makes everybody happy? Is that the cabinet having members from every community? Chairmanships alone
available in
and
this
is that
republic.
Enough, do you think?
No, let me just explain. One, we do not have a community, a single community in this country that does not have a man or woman of integrity and ability and the relevant competences. We do have. Secondly, if this person calls himself a Kenyan, he must feel and see he is being treated as a Kenyan. And therefore, when we talk that we want unity, we want Kenya to be together, and as leaders, the kind of actions we take, the kind of deployments we do, clearly indicates that we are trying to look for support from our tribes, because definitely you will be looking for support from your tribe in your retirement because there is something wrong you're doing. But if your objectives are correct and you know what you're looking for and you know where you want to drive your country, you will be more concerned about ability, integrity, and delivery, other than looking for friends, looking for people and members from your tribe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Words are important as well, yes, from leaders, and I think
yes,
you talked about that.
Yeah.
So let me remind you of a statement that was made by yourself at a fundraiser at Musutsu Primary School in 2015. You said, ODM is not our house, Ford is not even our house, it was started by our Luo neighbors. You went on to say, we must have our own house and should not keep sheltering in other people's houses. What would this mean? Is UDP a Luya party or is UDP a national party? And are you a national leader or are you a Luya leader?
I am a national leader. Kwame Nkrumah said, begin with what they know, then drive them where you want to take them. The Kenyan people, being clear, do understand the politics from their local settings. And if you want somebody to understand you in politics, begin with what somebody knows and understands. And then drive them to realize that this is unfortunate. What you believed in is because somebody else, his objectives of leadership were a total contradiction of what needs to be done in leadership.
But Mr. Jirongo, when you say it was started by our Luo neighbors and we must have our own house, I mean, we do understand that politics is local, but seeking the presidency, which is a symbol of national unity, some may say these statements then paint a different picture from what you have just told us here about ethnicity and having a national feel.
By the way,
this doesn't
if you want me to delve into that much more, that is the weaknesses we have in the leadership that I'm competing with across board. And if you want examples, ODM as a political party, here in Nairobi, we have 85 seats for MCS. 63 are preserved of the Luo community. And yet, you want to create a national forum.
Yes, but how different are you, Mr. Jirongo?
Let me just explain to you.
Allow me to interject. You're talking about ODM and how they're fielding theirs. But with respect to this statement you're making, it's starting to sound like UDP. How different are you?
How different I am is so basic. Look at the leadership we are offering in Nairobi, in our party, because Nairobi belongs to everybody. Actions speak louder than words. Look for the list. Who are our members in Nairobi? Who are running for what seats in Nairobi? That is how different I am.
Okay. You say you're different, but let's talk about a Facebook post from your party on the 8th of May. much reference has been made to the Luya Nation. Let me quote. This is the very latest post. It says, take, for example, Dagoretti North. How on earth can ANC, that's the Amani National Congress, fail to field a candidate in a constituency almost 80% populated by the Mulembe people? Now again, that statement just contradicts what you have said in terms of ODM has 85 MCAs and they're all from the Luo, but yet your political party is questioning why ANC has not fielded a candidate in which their tribe is the majority.
I wish you said Jirongo is questioning why ANC has not fielded a party.
Where there's 80% of the Mulembe people, obviously,
is that
because
from Mr.
this
Jirongo?
is your Facebook post. No, it's a Facebook post of your political party. You are the chair and the leader of the UDP. So I would assume you would endorse everything that comes out of your party, unless you are now distancing yourself, Mr. Jirongo, from statements made by your party which you lead.
Those people who have dealt with me and those who have worked with me know me better than you are saying. There's no tinge of tribalism in Mr. Jirongo. And that you can find out from the people I do business with. I hardly have a Luya partner in any business. You will look at my company. I hardly have any. But I told you, sometimes you need to begin with what people know, and then drive them in the direction you want to take them.
So are you distancing yourself from this statement that was made by your party on the 8th of May on Facebook?
I don't even
because you're
know.
saying you're not tribalist.
Know.
That is fine.
I don't even know.
But your party is saying something different.
I don't even know such a statement was made. UDP is not in the business of managing ANC affairs.
So how do you not know a statement that was made by your party, sir? Are you not in control of your party?
Now listen, management is different. You allow everybody to play their parts. You do not try and dictate and even control people's freedom of speech, people's thoughts. If somebody manages that page and he made that unfortunate remark, that must be held as an individual belief, not a belief of Mr. Cyrus Jirongo.
It's in the name of the party, a party which you lead.
I've never even read it, by the way.
Okay, maybe you might want to check out your Facebook posts of your party and try and synchronize the messaging. Let's talk a little bit about a row that is in the country right now, which is the ballot printing tender row. What is your position on this? I think NASA has been making quite the loudest noise about the manner in which the tender was allocated and the relationship between those of that company and the president himself. What is your position? What is your party's position with regards to this saga? Even the Catholic Church has come out and made its thoughts on the same.
Now, there are three issues which I'm totally unhappy with. One, when we went for voter registration, at the time, Kenyans, we had this massive voter registration the last time. There was the issue of arbitral change of the law that manages election in this country. And that was impunity because nobody wanted really to discuss. You go as an individual, use your majority in parliament, change a law that had been negotiated. Secondly, the use of police. We have had police officers being given an extra 10,000 for a good job done. We don't understand that job that they have done very well. Thirdly, what is so special with this Dubai group that our papers must be printed by a Dubai group? My views are this. If I had, or if Kenya wants to hold a free and fair election, I'm sorry to say this, it will be unfortunate for us to print our documents either in China or Dubai, our election materials. Basically because at least they tend to respect themselves. You are dealing with people who really don't care. People who look, their objectives, particularly our friends from the East, are slightly very different from what we would want to project as a free and fair election. They will manipulate, they'll go in bed with everybody. So our stand as UDP, clearly, Chepkata and group had no reason whatsoever to insist they must print these papers from Dubai. Particularly after there are complaints, people are unhappy with it. What is so special with them? What arrangements do you have with them that you must insist they are the ones that are going to print
So
the
what's your proposal, sir?
So our proposal is very simple. We cannot hold a free and fair election when everybody else, other than the Jubilee system, doubts the credibility of the company that is going to print those papers. And for me, even if it meant delaying this election, it doesn't really matter much, other than rubber stamping something that we all know has question marks.
So you believe we should delay the election and get another company to print the ballot papers?
If that is what must happen, I would rather that than have a sham election.
You're watching Meet the President with Cyrus Jirongo, who is the presidential candidate for the United Democratic Party. We're taking a quick break. We will be right back. We have lots more questions to ask. We'll also be taking a look at your comments, your feedback, your questions on social media. So we'll get to that in just a moment. We'll be right back.